from Spa. Now, controversy reigned here last year. It was rule booked at 10 paces, and we also had an exclusion. But let's hope this time it's all good, clean fun like it should have been at Snetterton. Martin Haven's got the details.
Dave Warnock could have won the GT title at Snetterton, but it wasn't to be. Leading at the start of lap 2, he swapped places with Andy Purvis, only to be rammed from behind by the Marcus at Sia. The Lister was still drivable, but an oil leak forced him into the pits and into retirement. The Power Viper then looked set for a maiden victory until it got stuck in 4th gear, leaving Tim Harvey unable to resist Chrysler. Callum Lockie's teammates took the lead 3 laps from the end. In GTO, the TVR of Rob Bath and Martin Short led early on, but retired from 2nd near the end, leaving Terry Reimer and Jeff Lister to take the win unchallenged. So, in the GTs, Dave Warnock's lead over Callum Lockie is cut to just 4 with 30 left to play for, and Chrysler takes over in 3rd. In GTO, 2 rows in a win put Jeff Lister and Terry Reimer into 3rd and 4th ahead of their teammates Fuller and Fothergill.
That disastrous shunt at Snetterton has thrown the GT battle wide open again, and Dave Warnock has to finish ahead of the Marcos today in order to give him some breathing space for the last round at Silverstone. So, what are the tactics?
I don't think we're going to do very much with our tactics. They've proved that we can basically win with what we've done in the past. Hopefully, if everyone stays clean and away from us, we'll have a good race.
As ever, who knows? It's a 60-minute race, and as we've seen right through the season, so much can happen. Obviously, we'll be trying to win it and hoping that Lister come, well, as far down as possible.
In an hour-long race, qualifying can be more about finding a good race setup than necessarily starting on pole. After all, you can overtake in a GT car. On the other hand, last year, John Nielsen destroyed the Power Viper that he was driving. Now, qualifying today is about to take place, and Martin Haven's got the details.
Well, there were no great dramas in practice this year, but Scandinavians did feature this harmless spin from Swedish guest drivers Sundberg and Andersson in their Porsche. The Reimer Lister 911 clipped the tyres at the bus stop, but despite that, Terry Reimer was enjoying the unaccustomed sunshine.
Well, Terry, I bet when you saw that Spa was on the calendar for September, you weren't expecting the weather to be like this.
Certainly wasn't. No, I've had many years coming here on the motorcycles and it's been pouring with rain, so it's fantastic. This Spa circuit really means a lot to me because I had my first ever international race here in 1988 on a Honda, so yeah, it's great to be in the sunshine.
Tim Sugden and Steve O'Rourke returned from the FIA series just for the fun of Spa.
And we've been going very well in Europe, and we came here and everything was going great. As I say, we were immediately quickest in both the testing sessions. It just didn't quite go right.
Dave Clark at Brookspeed swapped his Viper for a Lister. He found a new partner too in Tiffany Dell, but they weren't eligible for championship points.
So we're only here for the fun and the glory. We can even beat Mr. Warnock and Mr. what's his name, Campbell Walter, and it won't matter.
Ian Astley and Chris Ellis posted the 3rd fastest time in their Lotus. They were beaten by over a second by title contender Callum Lockie with his teammate Chrysler in the Marcus. But pole position went to Dave Warnock and Jamie Campbell-Walter in the Lister.
I think our plan will be as normal. Dave will start the race and hopefully he'll lead or be up there with the leaders, and we can have another good pit stop as we did at Silverstone and win the race.
So the GT title contenders start on the front row. The Lotus and the NCK Marcus up next, ahead of the 2nd Lister and the TVR Speed 12. In GTO, Reimer and Lister just ahead of Short and Bath's TVR. Jordan and Sumpter alongside Sugden and O'Rourke on the next row.
For Callum Lockie and Dave Warnock, no one else matters. The next 60 minutes could decide the champion for the year 2000. Let's go join Martin Haven to find out what happens.
Thanks, Amanda. We're on board with Tiffany Dell in the 2nd Lister. Ahead of us, the Lotus. On the left-hand side, the Marcus. They're coming down the hill, out of the hairpin at La Source, waiting for the green lights. Dave Warnock on the left, Callum Lockie on the right. They're both starting their respective cars. Very bunched field. Long hold for the green. And finally it's go. Warnock gets the start that he needed. Callum Lockie again cautious as ever into the first turn. Through goes the Lotus. The Lister in white is up to 4th place. And we ride with him now. Tiffany Dell driving. Callum Lockie goes left as Needell gets a great run out of Eau Rouge up the hill. The 7-litre V12 hauling the Lister at great speed. He'll pass him, no question about it, as Chris Ellis moves out onto the outside line. It'll be Lister's first and second into Lecombe, Lotus third, Callum Lockie in fourth place. And Dave Warnock's really got the lead he needs. Callum Lockie down to fourth, the TBR Speed 12 in fifth place. There is Ian McKellar Jr. and the NCK Marcus in sixth spot. Now here we are in the GTO battle. Rob Bath right behind a GT2 Porsche. That's one of the PK machines. That's Robert Babican in the GT class. And down the hill they stream now. The TBR Speed 12 looking to make a move on Callum Lockie just ahead of this battle. Rob Bath, the leader in GTO. Still piling on the speed as they plunge down into the valley floor. The cars really accelerate much quicker down from Lecombe. And there is Terry Reimer. He goes past to take the lead of the class. And he's right behind Robert Babican there. The two yellow Porsches, GT and GTO class cars. And you can see the green TBR right behind. Well, the Listers starting to stretch their legs out front. The Lotus seems to be the cork in the GT bottle. Callum Lockie really under threat there for Ian McKellar Jr. McKellar trying to find a way to get alongside. It won't happen there through Piff Paff, but maybe on the long high-speed run back up to the start-finish, he'll be able to do something with that TBR's muscle engine. Riding on board with Callum Lockie then. This is absolutely flat out all the way, and there goes the Speed 12. Callum Lockie drops down to fifth place now. Bad news for him. Good news, though, for Dave Warnock. But Lockie's made a real habit this year of being very cautious on the first lap, trying to avoid getting tangled with anybody. Now, look, Ian McKellar Jr. trying to pick up a place from the Lotus to go third. Doesn't manage to do it. So the Lotus stays out front in that little group. Then the NCK Marcus brings up the tail of the field in a packed GTO class. Well, Dave Warnock ahead of Tiffany Dell as Ian McKellar Jr. gets a good run out of the bus stop. Callum Lockie wide around the outside. He's trying desperately to find some space. He does want to avoid getting caught in the middle of those two, but he's got another Marcus right behind. That's the Andy Purvis car, and he would like to avoid going behind that if he possibly can. Well, here are some of the 43 cars in this monster field, swollen by nearly a dozen entries from the Dutch Marcus Mantis Challenge. These guys know the circuit, know each other very well, some great racing. Callum Lockie now starting to get back into gear, goes past the Lotus at Lecombe. Andy Purvis trying to go with him. They'll be wheel to wheel under braking, but the Lotus keeps its nose in front. So Lockie now settling into the race, starting to pick up his pace again and trying to close on Dave Warnock out front. And there is Warnock as we ride with Tiffany Dell, looking down the inside to Fania. Now he won't want to touch Warnock and knock him off the track. Much more professional than that. Here is Dave Warnock, hard at work. Now, it doesn't actually matter if Tiffany Dell gets by because he won't take any points away. So it might be better for Dave Warnock if Tiffany Dell really is pressing just to let the white car go. And no sign of that yet. Dave Warnock will want to win this championship from the front. Oh, and a spinner. This is the Curtis Hales GTO Viper. Rob Bath now chasing Terry Reimer. This is through Piff Paff. Andy Purvis ahead, spins across the track. Purvis losing the tail end of the number 8 Marcus. Well, he'll have to wait for the monster field to go by him. Oh, there's a gap, and the Ultimate just manages to squeeze by. Down the Formula 1 starting grid, out of the bus stop now, down to the Lassour's hairpin. You're riding there with Tiffany Dell, and there he is. Headlamps ablaze. Oh, and more spinners. That's Andy Purvis again. He's been hit by somebody. And it's one of the Marcus Mantises. Yellow flags are out, and this may well bring out the safety car as well to move the damaged machinery. Well, let's see what's down there. Marco Attard avoids him, but look at that. Toon van der Hattard gets out of control trying to slow down and spins, ironically, into the stationary car. Mike Jordan in the pits, contemplating a change of strategy now. Only 10 minutes into the race, they can't stop for another 10, so they may make it a very long first stint. Lights out on the safety car, ready to go green again, and Tiffany Dell is in front of Dave Warnock. He was passing at roughly the same time that Andy Purvis spun, so he leads the race, but Purvis's mistake has cost Dave Warnock a 6-second lead. Rob Bath, 7th overall, second in GTO behind Terry Reimer. They've got the green light, and look at that, the TBR Speed 12 coming around the outside into Eau Rouge. Ian McKellar Jr. takes second place, and that is points taken away from Dave Warnock. Now Warnock is officially second in the points, and Callum Lockie in third place in points from this race, and that means that he is now right where he needs to be, on the tail of Warnock. The gap between them is so slight that that is exactly where he needed to be, not allowing Warnock to get away, and Callum right up to race pace. The Lotus next up, then the GTO battle, but it's Tiffany Dell heading off from the Ian McKellar, first and second. Dave Warnock down to third. Jamie Campbell-Walter getting confirmation, hand signals on the pit wall there, third place. Frederick Sundberg, Jonathan Baker, Mark Sumter. Oh, the GTO champion loses control of the Paragon Porsche, nearly hitting Andy Purvis's damaged car. I wonder if he'll be able to get out of the gravel traps. It looks like he will. Well, that's a good recovery. This is Adrian Slater and Mike Jordan's second car. There's his teammate, rattling gravel all over the track. Sumter across his bows. He stays behind him, though. That's good team driving. Allow Mark Sumter a chance to recover. And Callum Lockie, first man into the pits, just into the 20-minute margin. Only 8 laps into the race. Now Rob Garth, second in GTO, comes down in the TVR Speed 6. He was 7 seconds down on Terry Reimer when he came in. Koreuser in the car already, waiting for it to be ready to go. And edges the car out very slowly. Got a good steep downhill run to help you. Martin Short also in. Very eager to go, isn't he? Off he goes. Well, good changes for both of them. Tiffany Dell leading the race at Piff Paff. Oh, and gravel there. And off he goes into more gravel, and that will make the corner even tougher. He recovers without losing the race lead. Dave Warnock in the pits. Now this is going to be vital. Off comes the Dayglow orange patch. Out gets Warnock. In gets Jamie Campbell-Walter. Nice and early in the race. And the co-driver's taking over for a real battle to the flag. Away he goes. Smart change. Very good indeed. Just 11 seconds at stationary. Well, where will that leave him? All the pit stops have to happen before that gets settled out. Ian Ashley leaves in the Lotus. They just moved up to 4th ahead of Callum Lockie. And here is Mark Sumter talking to the crew, passing on a message to Mike Jordan via the radio. You can't really give over any information in these quick pit stops. Jeff Lister, this is the GTO lead car, or was when it came in. Terry Reimer had a great run to start their race. Now, where will Martin Short be? Well, Martin Short running strongly in the TVR Speed 6, behind a slower Mantis Challenge car. Now on this long, fast section through Blanchimont, they come onto what used to be the public road part of the old 8 3/4 mile track. And don't forget, Formula One cars are doing 160 miles an hour here back in the 60s. Pretty exciting stuff.
Well, Spa, as usual, is full of excitement. The last remaining Par Viper has now come into the pits for its stop. It's good time for us to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes in GC on 4. Welcome back to GT on 4 in the 11th round of the Privilege Insurance British GT Championship. We'll go back to join Martin for the finish.
Tiffany Dell and Ian McKellar, first and second on the road. 2 seconds apart in the Lister and the TVR Speed 12. Both of them need to stop still. 40 seconds ahead of Jamie Campbell-Walter, and they both come into the pits together. Jamie Campbell-Walter will now maybe take over the race lead. Riding with Martin Short, chasing Jeff Lister for the lead in GTO. The Porsche was 7 seconds ahead before the pit stops. Short gets a great tow up the straight. He'll go into the lead in the class, but they won't be counting their chickens. They've led the races several times, only to retire with engine problems. Jamie Campbell-Walter rounds La Source. There is the other Lister in the pits, and he may have to squeeze it to get out quickly. He does so, and down the hill comes Campbell-Walter. Goes into second. The TVR Speed 12 will be in third place when he rejoins the track. So Jamie Campbell-Walter brings the lead Lister up into the main points gathering position. Koreuser is in 4th place. Ahead of him, Sundberg in the Swedish Porsche. No longer he howls up the hill. Jamie Campbell-Walter at Lecombe. Second in the race, Dave Clark leads. He's taken over a very well-placed car from Tiffany Dell.
Did have a slight off at one of the Piff Paffs, but the first few laps it was brilliant. The pace cars rather made it a bit harder, but a 1-2 was going to be close.
Close indeed. Dave Clark pulls around the inside at the Piff Paff to allow Jamie Campbell-Walter to go through. Somebody's been off up ahead. Lots of gravel on the road as well as dust in the air. Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter leads. Now let's catch up with Koreuser's teammate Callum Lockie.
This is Core's favourite circuit. He's just done a 24-hour race a few weeks ago here, so he's well tuned into it. And I think, an even score can have it, but there's a long way to go, as ever.
Long way to go, but for Bobby Verden-Rowe, maybe not that far in third place, because Koreuser again has got a stunning run out of Eau Rouge. He's almost running into the back of the TVR Speed 12, using the tow to slow down the TVR and speed up the Marcus. He's on the inside line, and Bobby won't come back from there. Koruiza squeezes through. Bobby gave him no extra racing room. That's now second place in points for the Marcus. And what's this? Jamie Campbell-Walter cruising. No safety car, no yellow flags. He's running very slowly indeed, and no sign of Dave Clark. Here is Dave Clark catching him and flying by. Campbell-Walter is in big trouble, and that is dreadful news as Dave Clark leads the race in the Brookspeed Lister for Dave Warnock, because his teammate out in the car is stranded on the circuit, running very slowly indeed. Here comes Koruiza. He was 5 seconds behind at the last split, but it looks as though he's going to catch him, and news coming in on the radio is bad.
Some sort of engine problem.
Is he out completely? There's no chance of him regaining.
Lawrence Pierce absolutely distraught. So too will Dave Warnock be as Jamie Campbell-Walter pulls off in a cloud of smoke. And there is Warnock. He just can't bear it. Bad luck indeed. Into the bus stop. Koruiza secure in second place, well ahead of the TVR. About 9 seconds, in fact, ahead of the TVR. Here comes the Speed 12. Under pressure from the Lotus, and a big broadside slide as Verden Rowe locks the brakes into the bus stop. Well, Ian Astley in the Lotus is right on his tail and really piling on the pressure. Out of La Source, down the hill with Koruiza. He'll be looking for the pit board on the right-hand side to find out what the deal is. 6 minutes to go, second place, plus 15 on the car behind, minus 11 on the car in front of him. Well, here is the car behind it. It's still the TVR, but I wonder for how long. Has Verden Rowe got a brake trouble? Certainly the Lotus, as the fuel load has lightened, has really closed in on the back of the Speed 12. Maybe now up the hill he's got a chance, almost close enough to get into the tow. Here come the lights of the TVR Speed 12. Will the Lotus be enough? No, it won't be close enough at all. Couldn't pick up a tow there. The huge horsepower of the Speed 12 engine keeps Bobby Verden Rowe in front for the moment at least. And Ian Astley is really tigering the Lotus through these nimble bits. It loses out in horsepower, but it makes up in handling. Here comes the race leader, Dave Clark's white Lister, just about to lap Charlie Cox in the car he shares with Jonathan Baker. That's one of the GTO Porsches. He's a long way out front. Callum Lockie in second place, and the battle for third. The Lotus has got ahead in the twisty stuff. The TVR down to fourth. Third on the road, second in the points now for the Lotus. But the TVR will drop further down because the stewards have just looked at this incident earlier in the race when the TVR was right behind Koruiza. Now notice it's no longer behind it. Bobby Verden Rowe went straight through the runoff road here, didn't stop at a special set of traffic lights and rejoined. He'll lose a lap because of that. Well, there is Terry Reimer watching proceedings in the GTO class. They're second at the moment. Martin Short still leading in the GTO Speed 6 TVR. But with everything crossed, I'm sure. The Porsche in second place, that's Jeff Lister. Don't forget that the TVR has led this class in the last 3 outings, only for the car to fail. And Martin Short will be taking it very easy, going as slow as he can around this 4.5-mile Spa circuit to try and nurse the car through. But now time has run out for the opposition. The white Lister coming up to La Source for the final time after a nearly faultless run. With Tiffany Dell and Dave Clark, the checkered flag awaits. The new driver and car combination will take a maiden win. Checkered flag for the Brookspeed car, but it should have been the Works Lister. Second place with Koruiza coming through the bus stop just ahead of the Lotus. Ian Astley really flying in the closing stages. Other cars all over the grass as they come to the end of the race as well. But Koruiza will hold on to this one at La Source. Ian Astley really has no chance now in the short run down to the checkered flag. Second and maximum points will be for the Marcus of Oiza and Lockie. Third for Astley and Ellis, and the GTO class battle will also go to the line. Martin Short holding on, a huge lockup there for Jeff Lister. He shortcuts the chicane as well, and although he didn't pick up a place, he may be penalised later. So, finally making it through to the end of the race in the class lead. This is a maiden win as well in GTO for the TVR Speed 6. All Martin Short and his team's hard work finally rewarded on perhaps the greatest racetrack in the world. Well, it's been a long, hard development season for Martin Short and his team, and now, having tasted the lows, they taste the highest of the highs. Lister beats the Marcus on the road then. Lockie and Oyser take maximum points, though Astley and Ellis second for the 5th time this season. And in GTO, a popular first victory for the TVR pair ahead of Reimer and Lister. Sumter and Jordan third ahead of Adam Simmons and Stephen Watson in their Porsche.
Martin, how does it feel?
Bleep marvellous. I couldn't believe I was making loads of mistakes. We were running out of fuel towards the end. I was thinking, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. I was thinking, do I slow down? Every time we slow down it breaks, or do I just go flat out?
It was a bit of a learning curve this weekend. Never been to Spa, never driven a Lister. With the support from Lawrence and the guys, we've had a great weekend. Finished off by this.
Two very happy chappies. In the GTs, Callum Lockie also a happy chappie, an 11-point lead over Dave Warnock. Oyser third, 8 points ahead of Astley and Ellis. And in the GTOs, the Paragon team lead the PK team. Adam Simmons takes over 5th. Fuller and Fothergill were absent.
So with just one race to go, the pendulum has swung the other way. It looks like it could be Callum's title. Now it's time to take a quick look back at the National Saloon race that was earlier this afternoon.
After Snetterton, Tony Rokanen held a 7-point lead over both Matt Kelly and Tobias Massini, and fortune went his way at Spa. Finn was on pole, Simon Harrison alongside Matt Kelly way back in 17th. On the second row, 2 guest BMW drivers, and at the lights, Sander Van Es stalled, the Dutchman giving everybody else behind him an exciting time. Tobias Massini qualified 8th, but made the most of the confusion, up into 4th at Eau Rouge. At the front, Rokanen and Harrison side by side, Duncan Heisman in the BM, and Massini in the Honda. Matt Kelly a long way down in the pack. At Les Combes, Massini tucks in behind Heisman, Harrison over the curves, Heisman slows, Massini is hit and spins. The Italian gathers it all up and carries on racing, but Matt Kelly's bad luck continued with massive frontal damage, a midfield collision the culprit. Rokanen, meanwhile, holding the former champion Harrison at bay. Heisman straight into the wall in the BMW, much to his disgust. So Rokanen claimed his 5th win of the season, just half a second ahead of retiring champion Simon Harrison. Roger Mern third. Second place was Harrison's best result of the season. Rokanen now leads by 28 points from Massini. He's 3 ahead of Kelly, and Roger Mern moves 1 ahead of Dan Eves.
Oh yes, I was catching me by the toe all the time after Eau Rouge on a long straight, but then I pulled away sort of 50-60 metres on the rest of the lap, so...
It was an excellent race. This is a great place to finish on the podium. I really enjoyed that.
So congratulations to Tony Rokanen for winning the National Saloon race. He is now grasping distance from the championship title. It was great to see a new face on the top step of the podium in the GTO class. But Mike, what do you make of the GT class race?
Well, I think at Silverstone in the last round, Lister will really go all out for the win, and Lockie will drive defensively, I think, and just go for the title.
Well, you can find out what happens here in GT on 4 in a couple of weeks. See you then.
Well, in fact, you can see that next Saturday at 11:30. Well, next up for double prize money in the Chicago Grand Slam. It's world-class beach volleyball.